My Lords, I rise to speak to Amendment 125 in my name, also kindly supported by the Noble Lady Baroness Boycott, and also, as the Noble Lord, Lord Teverson just noted, and it's a pleasure to follow his contribution, these two fit together very well because they're talking about consumers who desperately want to do the right thing, but we're simply not giving them the tools to make that possible at the moment. Now, the background to this amendment is, Noble Lords may remember, as the Noble Lord Teverson just referred to, in committee I moved a quite broad-ranging amendment addressed at particularly disposable nappies and the replacement of them with the encouragement of reusable nappies. And the Noble Lord the Minister at that time very kindly acknowledged how much larger an issue this is than people perhaps might think. Now, what we've seen happen since then is, in this stage of the bill, the Noble Lady Baroness Neville-Rolfe has tabled an amendment that covers part of the same territory as mine, seeking to look at promoting reusables, and I was delighted to attach my name to that amendment, and I'm sure the House will be perhaps a little surprised, but perhaps pleased to see that the Noble Baroness and I are cooperating on this matter. But what I wanted to do was look at the other side of this, which is the problem with the grave misuse and the grave abuse of language. I speak here as a former sub-editor, it particularly offends me, that we see in the labelling of nappies now. And these are all set out here in Clause 2 of the bill, the way in which phrases like reusable, biodegradable, eco-friendly and environmentally friendly are put on nappies because there is no legal limits on how those words can be used, and they are used absolutely misleadingly. And as the Noble Lord, Lord Teverson said, we have a problem of sham competitiveness. The market is out of control and regulation has failed to control the market. And just to be concrete about what this actually means, a study carried out by YouGov at the start of this year found that 7% of nappy users, 7%, wrongly put their disposable nappies into the recycling. In London, it was 11% of nappy users, disposable nappy users, who were putting their nappies into the recycling. Younger people, aged 18 to 24, 15% of them were putting their disposable nappies into the recycling. So what does that actually mean? Well, if you look at Buckinghamshire, just as to take one example, 13% of lorry loads for recycling contained disposable nappies. In Leicestershire, it was estimated that up to 4,000 disposable nappies were being removed from the recycling every day. That spoils any material which it comes into contact with, and they have to be removed by hand once they reach the sorting facility, which obviously is extremely unpleasant and unhygienic for the person having to work in that recycling facility. So, why is this happening? Well, a survey from 2019 carried out by the North London Waste Authority found that more than a third of people who were doing this said, well, there's a recycling logo on the packaging, which may well indeed mean that perhaps, there's recycled plastic in the wrapping outside the side, or some matter like that. A fifth said it was because of the use of the term disposable, that they thought this meant it went into the recycling. So I think what we really have to focus on here is that people desperately want to do the right thing, and people want to put as much as possible as they can into the recycling. Now, behind this, we have a very industry-driven, company-driven approach that pushes recycling rather than reduce and reuse, which are, of course, the top two elements on the waste pyramid. So we have a huge problem here. And so what my amendment does, and like the Noble Lord, Lord Teverson, I'm not, of course, intending to push this to a vote tonight, but I do think that we have to see much faster action, much more effective action from the government. I suspect I'm going to hear terms about discussion, response of consultation and talking to the industry, and the industry is the problem. The solution is the government putting down a line and saying you cannot use these words in a way that costs all of us money. A few people, companies are profiting, and the rest of us are paying in all kinds of ways, environmentally, financially, through our local government costs, and in terms of just the encounters that we all have, unfortunately, with nappies in places where they simply shouldn't be. So, my lords, it's late. This is a big issue that covers a small area. I really would like to hear some progress from the Noble Lord the Minister.
Noble Lady Baroness Bennett of